With the release of Elestral's newest set, Moonrise, came Jawblin, an 8/4 water and lunar Elestral that says you can expend 1 water in order to change the position of Elestral that's not water enchanted. When 1 or more Elestrals change their position, you can draw a card. Today's deck looks to use and abuse the secondary effect of this ability, because today we'll be playing Position Change. To start off the deck, we have 3 copies of Foamy. Foamy is a 2/3 water Elestral that says when this Foamy is destroyed in battle, you can special cast a 1-spirit water Elestral from your deck in defense position. Foamy is extremely strong right now due to the lack of hard removal, and since every time this gets destroyed by combat, you'll easily just summon out another Elestral. So Foamy can easily utilize its ability to go into another Foamy and just stall out an entire battle phase like that, or it can utilize its ability to go into any of the other 1-spirit water Elestrals that we're playing in this deck. The first Elestral that we'll be able to go into with our Foamy is 1 copy of Snark. Snark is a 3/3 water Elestral that says when you cast this Snark, you can search your deck for a card with enchantment cost of 1 water and 1 lunar. So most of the time we'll be looking for one of our 2 copies of our Jawblin. If we already happen to have Jawblin in hand, we can also find our Tsunami High Tide with it. Tsunami High Tide is a 2-cost invoke rune that says you can change the position of up to 2 Elestrals. You may enchant either water or lunar from your underworld to your field. So Tsunami High Tide pairs extremely well with your Jawblin, allowing you to just draw cards while changing the position of multiple Elestrals. Not only that, you can utilize your Spirit's Engrave to easily just make it to where this costs 1 instead of being a 2-cost invoke rune. Our first position changing Elestral is 3 copies of Eddy. Eddy is a 4/1 that says when this Eddy is cast, you can change the position of an Elestral. Eddy is extremely strong due to the fact that it plays around almost every single counter rune with the exception of Gorgon's Gaze. Not only that, it can also be found by Foamy, so you can utilize Eddy as a weird defensive combat trick to where you can search Eddy, play it out with your Foamy's ability, and then change the position of one of their Elestrals to end the phase of combat. This deck is also running 2 copies of Galaxy. Galaxy is a 2/5 water Elestral that says while this Galaxy is enchanted, swap each water enchanted Elestral's attack and defense. Now this seems a little counterintuitive since a lot of our Elestrals have attack lines that are higher than their defense line. However, Galaxy is such an individually strong card that you just can't help but play it inside of a water deck. Not only does it shut off other Galaxies, Galaxy is simply just a great beater in itself because it plays around every single counter rune in the entire game with the exception of Gorgon's Gaze. And our final water Elestral in the deck is 1 copy of Moostation. Moostation is a 1/6 that says you can expend 1 water in order to swap this Moostation's attack and defense until the end phase. This effect can also be activated when an opponent normal casts an Elestral. This is extremely strong to work as a beat stick all on its own as long as you just can expend 1 and swing over everything, or you can easily place Moostation in defense and utilize it as a wall to ascend into your Jawblin. And our first non-water Elestral in the deck is 3 copies of Sorlet. Sorlet is a 5/1 wind Elestral that says you can expend 1 wind in order to change the position of an Elestral unless it's wind enchanted. Sorlet is an extremely strong beater whose ability pairs well with our Jawblin to allow us to continually draw cards. And our final Elestral in the deck is 3 copies of the most bannable bunny, Aster Rabbit. Aster Rabbit is a 2/5 Thunder Elestral that says when this rabbit receives 1 or more Thunder Spirits, you can look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 to hand, and shuffle the rest into your deck. Aster Rabbit is already an extremely busted card that I believe deserves to be banned, but in this deck it gets even stronger, because you can utilize Jawblin if you're really that desperate to change Aster Rabbit's position, draw a card, change its position back to defense, and draw a second card. Aster Rabbit is extremely strong in this deck, even more so than others. To start off our runes, we have 2 copies of Zeus. Zeus says when you play this Zeus, you can enchant up to 3 Thunder Spirits from it. You can disenchant a Thunder Spirit to give an Celestial -3 attack and -3 defense until the end phase. Zeus is literally the strongest Divine Rune in the game because it allows multiple Elestrals to get over the targeted Celestial in combat. Let alone with our ability to change Elestral's position, we are going to get over whatever Elestral we choose as long as we're able to change their position, plus utilize Zeus ability. And to pair with our Zeus, we'll be running 2 copies of Cryoblast. Cryoblast is a 1-cost Frost Invoke rune that says target an Elestral that's not Frost enchanted and give him -2 defense. When that Elestral hits 0 defense, you must destroy it. Cryoblast is individually strong on its own because a lot of people right now are playing a 5s types meta, and that easily destroys Elestrals that are the 5s types because they always have a low defense stat. However, when you pair this with Zeus, it easily allows you to kill anything that is lower than 5 defense, working as an oddly colored Earthquake. And speaking of Earthquake, we'll be running 1 copy of Earthquake itself, because unconditional removal is extremely strong, and as long as you have the Spirit Room, you always play Earthquake. We also have 1 copy of Resting on Your Laurels because this is extremely strong removal that will allow you to come back from bad situations. And this game doesn't really have too many catch-up mechanics, so we're going to play the one and only catch-up mechanic that the game does have. To finish out the Invoke runes, we'll be playing 3 copies of Ambrosia. There's not really too much to say about this due to the fact that Ambrosia's everywhere since healing is busted in this game with everything costing your life to play. Moving on to the counter runes, we have 3 copies of Gorgon's Gaze to shut down anything an opposing Celestial might even think about doing. We've got 3 copies of Poison Tipped Arrow for the hard removal aspect of it, and the -2 attack might occasionally come in handy to save our Elestrals. We've got 3 copies of Shield of Achilles to bounce anything that's not named Pharaoh Geist back to hand. We've got 2 copies of Altar of Stars, so that way we can change the position of Elestrals to help us draw and also to possibly avoid combat. And we've got 2 copies of Tsunami to blank an entire battle phase unless they're water enchanted. Moving on to the Spirit deck, we've got 1 copy of Flurmine for the Cryoblast, 2 copies of Taratlus for our Earthquake. We've got 2 copies of Owloon for our Tsunami High Tide and our Jawblins. We've got 3 copies of Lycaris for our Sorlets and using their effects. We've got 4 copies of Zaptor for our Zeus and our Astro Rabbit. And we've got 8 copies of Leviathan. What do you guys think about the deck? Is it something you would play? Let me know down in the comments below. And let me know if there's anything that you're interested in seeing me build. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to like and subscribe as I do post content daily. I hope you all have a good day, and peace.